Hello, I'm Odyssey, and welcome back to another Minecraft Redstone video. In this video, I want to talk about encoders. More specifically, the super fast, super compact encoders that you can make in 1.11 because of the new observer blocks. So what I got behind me here is a decimal to binary encoder for the first eight numbers in binary, and it is so compact that it's hard to even understand how it works. Like, what is this? Like, what is this cube of metal here? Let me go ahead and demonstrate. So we'll start off with 7 and we'll count down. So 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then of course we have 0, but I didn't feel like programming 0. And there you go. That's a binary encoder. Yeah, well, it's like, what is this? What is this black magic? What is happening here? It's just a solid cube. Oh man, it's the observers. Observers, it's official. Observers are awesome. So first of all, if you don't know what an encoder is, an encoder is a way of like transforming one type of information into another type of information. And a very basic example of that is a binary encoder like this. So we're going from a decimal value into a binary value. But there are more practical applications for encoders. So one good example is a automatic potion brewing system. A lot of automatic potion brewing systems use encoders to select their ingredients. So let's say, for example, you wanted to brew a splash speed potion, and you would make your selection. That selection would go into the encoder, and then what it would do is it would select all of the ingredients necessary to brew that potion. In that case, let's see what I say. I said splash speed potion, so it would be another wort, sugar, and gunpowder, right? And that's a good example of a practical application of an encoder. But just if you don't know what they are, what you should know is that they're very useful for selecting things, especially things that have complex like ingredients and stuff. Um, let's let's see. Let me explain how this works. So what we're doing here is we're basically updating 3 lines of observers, and you could use as many observer lines as you need, of course. But what we're doing is we're updating observers that are updating observers. So let's take a look at the bottom layer here. Right. So we have 3 lines, and anytime any of these observers get updated, what happens is they're going to send a signal all the way down to the very end. And what we can do is we can take advantage of that. So what we need is a consistent way of updating them. And I've got all 3 layers here. I've stripped them down from the top to the bottom. And this middle layer here, this is what makes it so interesting. So while the compactness of this is very interesting, and the speed of it is also very interesting, the most interesting thing to me is how easy it is to program. The way we program this thing is by simply placing downwards facing observers. There you go. That's it. We just programmed an encoder. It's amazing. Like it's so simple. It's so easy. You place down the observers where you want there to be a selection, and then you fill in the spaces with just random blocks which aren't really relevant. Just to stop bat spawning, I guess. But that's all you do. That's all you do to program this thing is place downwards facing observer blocks, and then you update them. And once these get updated, they update the line on the bottom, and that's that. That is the whole, that's the whole shtick. That's the whole mechanic behind it. It's incredibly simple, but incredibly effective as well. So just to reiterate here, what we're doing is when we're making a selection, we're sending a signal down this line, which updates the observers in the middle. The observers in the middle are what we programmed, right? So that's our program. In this situation right here, we have a program for encoding decimal into binary. You have binary 7, binary 6, binary 5, binary 4, etc., etc., etc. All right, and that's it. I mean, like I'm trying to go into an in-depth explanation here, but it's so simple. I've already run out of things to say. You make your selection with the top line, you have your program in the middle, and then you have the output on bottom, and that's as simple as it is. There's not really much else I can explain. One thing I should say is I think I called this instant. It's not quite instant. I should be careful about that. It is actually a slight delay here because it takes a moment for this piston to extend. So it is a one piston delay selection. It's not quite instant, but it's almost instant. Another thing I wanted to say is that when I first made this thing, I took notice of the fact that the observer blocks are movable by pistons, and I had this idea that I could put multiple programs onto a single decoder or encoder um, using like piston tape, right? So this would be program number one, and then we would rotate it around, and we would have program number two. And at first I thought this was like a really brilliant idea. I was like, oh man, multiple programs on the same encoder. But after I got about halfway through this, I realized that this is probably not that practical. These encoders are so easy to make that you're better off just making two of them and then switching between the two of them. I mean, it's a really neat idea to have multiple programs on the same encoder, but I don't know that it's I don't know that it's practical. But yeah, that is all I have to say on this. It's pretty incredible. Um, if you've never used encoders before, you don't know what they are, you're probably somewhat confused as to why this is cool. If you have used encoders before and you know what they are, you're probably like, oh man, I got some stuff to make. It's just cool. And again, my favorite part is just how easy it is to program your selections. But yeah, that is the 1.11 observer encoders. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and hopefully you learned something new, something useful. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.